Dear ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when just getting out of bed is an act of courage. When showing up to your job, facing your family, walking into a hospital room, or forgiving someone who broke you feels heavier than lifting mountains. But courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the whisper that says, "I'll try again tomorrow." It's the inhale that says, "I'm still here," and the exhale that says, "God's not done with me yet." We often associate courage with grand acts, soldiers in war zones, protesters on front lines, heroes in the headlines. But what about the mother raising kids on her own? What about the young man battling addiction silently? What about the woman choosing to heal instead of hate? That is courage too. Every breath you take in pain but keep going, that's courage. Every time you pray but still feel afraid and trust anyway. That's courage. When you step forward even with trembling legs, when your heart is racing but you still walk by faith and not by sight. That's the kind of courage heaven applauds. This world measures strength by success, but heaven measures it by surrender. Real courage is not the absence of fear, it's obedience in the face of fear. It's walking forward with shaking hands. It's saying yes, even when your voice trembles. Courage isn't reserved for the qualified. It's planted in those who dare to keep breathing through brokenness. So today, I challenge you, don't wait until you feel brave. Breathe brave. Don't wait until the fear leaves. Speak while it's still there. Walk while the weight is still heavy. Because there is courage in every breath you take that says, "I'm not giving up here. I've come too far, and I will not die in what God is calling me to walk through." 10 key points of the speech courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward despite it. True courage is often quiet, seen in daily perseverance, not public applause. Breathing through pain is an act of courage. Choosing healing over hatred is one of the bravest things you can do. God honors courage that trusts Him in weakness, not just strength. Every small decision to keep going counts as spiritual warfare. Courage means obeying God even when your feelings don't align. Sometimes just showing up is the strongest thing you can do. Your silent battles matter. They're not invisible to God. You don't need to feel brave to be brave. There is courage in every breath, certainly. Here's key point 1 fully expanded without a subtitle or conclusion written in a deep and powerful tone consistent with the Furtick style. Courage is not always loud, and it's definitely not always fearless. Courage is the choice to move forward even when fear is screaming in your ear, trying to paralyze your progress. It's the trembling yes when everything in you wants to say no. It's the moment when fear tells you to run, but your spirit says stand. That's courage, not because you feel invincible, but because you've decided fear won't have the final word. Some of the most courageous people in the world are not the ones standing on stages or fighting battles in front of crowds. They're the ones no one sees, fighting battles in their minds, in their homes, in their hearts, making daily decisions to keep walking when quitting would be so much easier. And they do it not because they aren't afraid, but because they refuse to let fear define their identity. They refuse to let it rob them of their assignment. Courage is waking up and choosing to trust again after being betrayed. Courage is applying for the job after 100 rejections. Courage is walking into a room full of people when your anxiety is screaming. Courage is facing your past, not to get stuck in it, but to heal from it. Courage is not glamour, it's grit. It's not being immune to fear, it's being committed to something greater than fear. The enemy loves to convince you that you have to wait until you're not afraid anymore to move forward. But let me tell you, that moment may never come, because fear doesn't need to disappear for courage to activate. Courage simply requires a decision that says, "Fear, you may ride in the car, but you're not driving anymore. My faith drives now." It's in the middle of fear, not the absence of it, that courage rises. If you wait to be fearless, you may never do what God called you to do. But if you decide to move while afraid, if you choose to walk with wobbly knees and a hopeful heart, you're already walking in courage. You don't have to look strong to be strong. You just have to choose to move forward. That's what separates those who stay stuck from those who step into their calling. Absolutely. Here's the fully expanded key point 2 ***. asterisk without subtitle or conclusion asterisk, in a bold, faith-driven and empowering tone inspired by Stephen Furtick's style. When we talk about courage, we often imagine bold gestures, giant leaps, powerful speeches, or moments that make headlines. But sometimes the loudest courage is expressed in the quiet discipline of showing up, day after day, moment after moment, even when it doesn't feel like anything is changing, even when no one is watching. That's the kind of courage that heaven honors. There's a strength in consistency that many people overlook. The courage to get up and pray when you feel nothing. The courage to forgive someone when they're not even sorry. The courage to work with integrity when no one acknowledges your effort. These moments might not seem loud on earth, but they echo loudly in heaven, because it takes real bravery to keep building, keep serving, keep showing up, especially when it feels like your effort is invisible. You see, the enemy doesn't just try to stop you with fear. He tries to wear you out with delay. He hopes you'll grow so discouraged in the silence that you'll stop believing your obedience matters. But courage isn't always about asterisk, what asterisk you feel, it's about asterisk, what asterisk you choose. And when you choose to keep showing up when it's hard, when it's lonely, when it's uncertain, you are choosing to walk by faith and not by sight. It takes bold courage to stay faithful to what God told you in the last season, when nothing new is happening in this one. That kind of obedience is warfare. That kind of obedience is worship. That kind of obedience shifts atmospheres, not just around you, but inside you. Because when you keep showing up, you prove to yourself that your trust isn't in your feelings, it's in your Father. Some people are waiting for courage to feel like fire, but often it feels like routine, like consistency, like faithfulness in the dark. That's where real champions are made. In the shadows, in the mundane, in the parts of your story no one claps for. So don't despise the days of small beginnings. Don't overlook the power of your presence. The fact that you're still showing up, even when life tried to break you, is the greatest proof that courage is alive in you. Keep showing up, keep walking, even if your steps are slow, even if your faith is shaky. Courage is not about being flawless, it's about being faithful, absolutely. Here's the *** full expansion of key point 3 ** from the speech ***. Courage in every breath, ***, written in the passionate and soul-stirring tone inspired by Stephen Furtick, without subtitle and conclusion. There is a kind of courage that's not about charging into battle, but about standing firm. When your world is shaking beneath you, it's not always the warrior with the loudest roar who wins the fight. It's the one who refuses to retreat, even when everything in them is trembling. Some of the strongest acts of bravery aren't seen on a stage or shared on a screen. They happen in private, in silence, in the unseen corners of your soul, where no applause is heard and no spotlight shines. It takes immense courage to be honest with yourself, to face your fears, not run from them, to admit you're hurting without letting your pain define you, to look in the mirror and see someone who's not yet where they want to be, but still choose to love that person anyway. It takes courage to let go of who you thought you had to be in order to become who you were created to be, and that process, that quiet, often painful inner transformation, that's real courage. There are moments when the fear doesn't go away. When your knees are shaking, your heart is racing, and everything in you wants to quit, but something greater rises up inside you, a whisper from God that says, you were built for this. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you go forward in spite of fear. It means you trust the voice of God above the noise of doubt. It means you're willing to take the step even if you can't see the full staircase. Sometimes, courage is found in the decision to forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, simply because you refuse to live imprisoned by bitterness. Sometimes, courage is deciding to try again, not because it's easy, but because you believe your failure wasn't final. And sometimes, courage means standing up for others when it would be easier to stay silent, because you remember that silence in the face of injustice is a form of betrayal. Courage doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. It requires you to show up in your weakness, in your questions, in your doubts, and still declare, I will not be defined by what tried to destroy me. I will not bow to fear. I will not shrink to fit into someone else's version of safety. I will rise. You don't have to feel fearless to be courageous. You just have to take one obedient step, one faithful breath, one more yes to God in the middle of the unknown. The truth is, fear will try to mute your roar. But when you move anyway, when you believe anyway, when you trust anyway, that's the sound of courage rising in every breath you take, of course. Here's the full expansion of key point 4 from the speech courage in every breath written in an inspired and emotionally charged tone, much like Stephen Furtick's delivery, without a subtitle or conclusion. There is something sacred about the struggle, something holy about walking through seasons that strip you down to your bare soul, because it's in those moments, the ones where everything feels like it's falling apart, that courage is forged. Not in the spotlight, not in the applause, but in the breaking, in the pressing, in the stretching. That's where real strength is born, when everything you planned falls apart, when the door slams in your face, when people you trusted turn away. This is where courage takes root. It's not in the comfort zones that champions are made. It's in the crisis. It's when you're down to nothing and still choose to believe God is up to something. That's when your faith grows legs and starts walking. That's when you stop quoting promises and start clinging to them with everything you have. Courage is birthed when you stop asking why me and start declaring, even this will be used for my good. When you realize the breakdown didn't disqualify you, it developed you. It trained your endurance, it tested your loyalty to the call. Anyone can have faith when it's easy, but it takes courage to keep worshipping when there's no break through yet. It takes courage to lift your hands when your heart is heavy. Pray when heaven seems silent, to believe when the mountain hasn't moved. There is a divine tension between what you see and what you know. You see chaos, but you know God is still sovereign. You see pain, but you know He's still working. You see weakness, but you know His strength is made perfect right there. That's where courage comes in, not to pretend the storm isn't real, but to believe it won't bury you. You are not what you've been through. You are who God says you are in spite of what you've been through. And when you understand that, even your worst days can become the training ground for your best days. So when life tries to choke your faith, when fear tries to silence your boldness, remember that courage often looks like tears rolling down your face while you still take that next step. Courage is waking up after the loss, after the disappointment, after the failure, and saying, God, I'm still here, use me anyway. That kind of courage, it's built in the fire, and once you walk through it, you come out not just standing, but unshakable. Absolutely. Here's a full-length expansion of key point 5 from the speech courage in every breath. Delivered in a passionate, emotional tone inspired by Stephen Furtick, beginning right where the heart is stirred most deeply. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply breathe. Not shout, not run, not even fight. Just inhale, hold the weight of your pain for a moment and release it with purpose. It sounds small, doesn't it? But it's in that breath, in that quiet moment of defiance against chaos, that courage makes its home. Because when everything is crashing, when life throws blow after blow, choosing to breathe and stay in it, to not numb it, to not quit on it, is an act of war against the darkness trying to consume you. There's a breath you take after betrayal, a breath you take after rejection, a breath you take after disappointment, and it's not just oxygen, it's faith. It's proof that you haven't given up, when others expect you to break, when your past wants to define you, when fear whispers you're done. That breath is you whispering back, I'm still here. And that stillness, that's not weakness, that's power under control. You see, the enemy wants you to believe that real courage always has to look loud. That it's in the noise, the shout, the fight, but sometimes it's in the stillness when you could lash out. but you don't when you could run, but you stay when you could drown in despair, but instead you breathe and say, God, I trust you even now. That breath is a declaration of victory, not defeat. And here's what they don't tell you: healing isn't always fast. Growth isn't always visible. Some of the most courageous people you'll ever meet are those who woke up this morning still fighting silent battles. People who smile through heartbreak, who raise their children while carrying unspoken trauma, who love others while their own soul is bleeding. That kind of breath is sacred. That kind of courage is divine. When you breathe through the pain instead of bowing to it, you give God space to work. You invite Him into the broken places, into the middle of the storm, and it's there, in that moment, when nothing has changed around you, but everything shifts inside you, that heaven draws near. You begin to realize courage isn't about pretending you're not hurt. It's about refusing to let that hurt define your future. You breathe through the fear, through the grief, through the unknown, and every breath becomes a prophecy. I will not be stopped here. I will not drown here. I will not die here. That breath, even when shaky, even when weak, is stronger than you think. Because it carries your decision to keep moving, to keep standing, to keep believing. One breath at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time, and before you know it, that breath becomes a rhythm of resilience, a beat of hope, a cadence of faith that says, I am still becoming everything God called me to be. And nothing, no pain, no past, no fear, can't stop that now.